All right, welcome to the latest edition of the EFPL America podcast. This is David Smith. That's the worst.
Travis Hoyk.
Ryan Chesko.
That was one of the worst opens, Brian. I've had some bad ones.
Oh, you were just saying letters. I don't really honestly know what you're getting at.
All right, everyone, welcome to another week where we're going to dive into all things FPL and probably cover a few other things as well. I come in today. Today hasn't been the best day. Played pickleball this morning. Didn't have the greatest pickleball.
Oh, that's the worst.
Morning. My body felt well, but didn't have a great day, which was a little frustrating. Also coming off of we had I coached my girls' middle school basketball team. This is not a basketball podcast, but it is basketball season here in the US of A.
Whatever it takes to slip them in.
And we had a game last night. We lost in overtime by 1. That's our second overtime lose by 1 game. It was a tough loss. We had the game. We were up by 1. My point guard, Brian, was bringing it down the floor. The clock was in our favor. They were going to need to foul us. And their guard, the only time it happened all game, the other guard guarding her got a poke tip. And she took it in for a layup, missed it, and got her own rebound and put it back up because the rest of my team was watching. So then they're up by 1, and there's about 30 seconds left. We get it across half court. I call timeout, draw up a play. We for the most part, kind of run the play. Someone drives in. They're playing a man-to-man defense, gets fouled with 4 seconds left. We're down by 1, 2 free throws. We missed both free throws.
Missed them both.
And we lost the game. So, fun game.
I didn't understand any of that.
Amazing atmosphere, but boy, it was tough to lose. This is not a basketball
I do understand
podcast.
that part. But basketball, don't get it. I don't. It doesn't compute.
Really?
I don't know why.
Basketball's an
I just
amazing
don't
game.
understand it.
Tons of similarity, and I know this won't make sense to a lot of people with soccer. Ironically enough, one of my players on my team is a amazing soccer/football player. She plays for the top travel team here in the state of Virginia and has been recruited to play on a national team, but because they don't want to travel, she hasn't gone. I actually got sent a video the other day. She played in a showcase tournament in Raleigh this past weekend, and she scored multiple goals. One of them I have on video on my phone. It's ridiculous. She gets a ball about 10 yards outside the box on the right side, does a drawback and pull through, jukes the girl in front of her, takes one dribble, and then with her left foot, and she's not left-footed, hits it from about 5 yards outside the box all the way to the upper 90. And it's ridiculous.
Wow.
And she's not left-footed. So I'm like, oh my! I mean, it was crazy. Anyways,
You should get her on the pod.
well, she played basketball for me last night, but she's missed.
It's a middle school child.
Oh, this is what I wanted to say.
I don't think we should be doing.
Yeah.
Well, I
you're
just
I'm a little bit worried that he's got videos on his phone.
I just figure she would know something about the game.
No, this is what I was going to say. So she's easily the best athlete on the team, and
You can't say things like that.
No. She's both her parents are D1 athletes. She's a D1 athlete. So anyway, she'd get a rebound. She's flying down the floor dribbling, but she wasn't keeping her head up to see her teammates out in front of her. And so she hasn't made as many practices. We knew this going into it. Like the next weekend is the last of the soccer season. So I'm like, it hits me as I bring her out on the bench, and I'm trying to relate to her the importance of keeping her head up. I said her name. I'm not just for privacy's sake. I'm not gonna say her name. So I say her name on the bench, and I say, hey, listen, this is what it's like when you're a striker and you make a run and your midfielders got their head down dribbling and they don't see you for the through ball after the run you just made.
Yeah,
that's what's happening on fast break when you're dribbling the ball and not keeping your head up.
Yeah.
And it was like a light bulb went
I get
off.
that.
I literally had to reference football/soccer in order for her to get
if someone would explain basketball to me like I'm a middle school girl playing soccer, I would totally get it.
There you go. There you go. It's that easy. All right, gentlemen, we have a lot to cover. And Brian, Brian, what are we going to talk about? Travis, we don't have a lot to cover.
It's that it's been 2 games. 2 games have happened for most teams.
That's so many
since the last time
at least Premier League
we were
games,
here.
Yeah.
So does anything of that matter? The mystery chip was revealed.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Revealed earlier, so that's something we can. I mean, we're not going to add anything really to the conversation about it. I don't think it's too far away.
9 weeks,
but that happened. No, you might have. We're about to enter. This is the last. You get 1 full week until the next game week, which is the last time that happens until the festive fixtures are over. So
nice.
We're about to head into
festive fixtures,
spiraling out of control, and the horrible feelings of loss and failure that have characterized most of the FPL season for some of us.
For some,
so
not all.
No, it just ramped up even bigger. Headed into Christmas. Happy holidays, everybody.
Hey.
So let's talk about what there's a button. What did we even put up there? Oh yeah, we got to talk about Arsenal first because we haven't done that in a really long time.
A really long time.
Yeah. The reason why
we should definitely talk
disappearing.
About that.
The reason why we were going to bring up Arsenal first was because in the 2 games that happened, the players who were the top performers in the 2 games, Cole Palmer obviously is the kind of the standout.
Yeah.
Not much needs to be said about Cole Palmer, 60.9%, unless he's gone up a little higher since a little earlier today, 25 points in 2 games. That was huge.
A lot of people bringing him in.
Of course, and why wouldn't you? But the second highest point scorer for the 2 game weeks, Dave, was your guy, Saliba. William Saliba.
Saliba.
You fixed it.
27 up to 27%, a little over 27% selected. 24 points, like I said, for the 2 games. Dave, I guess the question for Arsenal, just like people, I'm sure making him a top. He's a top 5 defender transfer in, if not the number 1 transfer in. Dave, let me give you the numbers. Game weeks 1 to 13 for William Saliba. 0 shots on target, 0 goals. Of course, that comes to a total of 0.00 XG in the first 13 game weeks.
Good fast math
your
there.
Math is getting much better.
I know.
Good fast math. 5
touches total in the opposition box in 13 games. Game weeks 14 and 15, 3 shots, 2 shots on target, 2 goals, a 2.08 XG on 3 touches in the opposition box. So, Dave,
they're all coming from set pieces, right? And Gabriel's out, so I think Saliba's falling into the Gabriel whatever positions they have labeled.
He scored 2 goals on the season last season. I think he scored 2 goals the season before that. So this is right on target for his season totals. He's done it in 2 games. Not to be a pessimist, but anyone who made the move to get him and benefited from this is an annoying idiot. I wish nothing but pain on them.
Sure.
But Dave, be honest. If somebody bought Saliba, if you bought an Arsenal defender,
yeah.
It was after probably the Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle run. It was probably Gabriel.
Right.
Or Timber.
Or Timber.
Because
We've been shouting for Timber.
Or
not
Timber.
Saliba, because Gabriel was the one who scored against West Ham.
He has been the goal threat. Now, last season, I owned Saliba from the beginning and always felt like he was going to be the better own. And
he was.
And he was.
But only barely.
This season, it is obvious that Gabriel is a absolute goal threat on set pieces.
Right. He was quite obviously a higher real life goal threat.
Sure.
But Gabriel got hurt. It's the only reason you would have considered Saliba at all, even over Timber. So I guess, Dave, the question is this enough? Like, it's 2 games. Is it enough that you would go for Saliba even now?
No. I wouldn't.
like 2 goals, like the numbers are the numbers, whatever. It's 24 points in 2 games.
Oh,
he can't do anything against Everton.
It's just 6-2. I'd still rather go with Timber.
But Gabriel, not in the squad today in the Champions League, but photos of training ground, pictures of him wearing a hoodie, obviously walking around. So
it's more than some of the other pictures we've seen.
I was going to say, not in training prior to this.
What kind of pictures have you seen?
Timber was not in training 2 days ago when everybody was freaked out because that was Zinchenko, Calafiori, Timber, Gabriel, or none of them.
Everyone in the defense, pretty much.
So, but then today, you see
he came off the bench.
Timber comes off the bench
in the Champions League.
But also, like I said, a photo of at the facility at least, a photo of Gabriel.
Yeah.
Arteta's not going to say anything.
No.
If anything, he's going to try to misdirect.
Right.
So if Travis, if everyone knows you're going to misdirect, don't you just go the opposite direction and just tell the truth?
Yeah.
Then it's not a misdirect.
It's like trying to play a game of wit with a Sicilian.
With an iocane powder.
What was Gabriel's problem in the first place? Hamstring, calf. It was definitely soft tissue. Oh,
isn't
knee.
all the tissue soft?
Knee is what
I don't
think
anyone ever thought it was serious.
Right. So I guess that's the thing. There's no real danger of him. It doesn't seem like missing. It's not a long-term injury, but it has kept him out for, kept him out a half and then 2 games, which is probably more than anyone would have ever guessed after he subs early against West Ham. Why not just go straight back to him? He's less than Saliba now, isn't he? Or is he still more? I'm not looking it up.
You want me to do that?
I'm asking.
Yeah. I got you.
They're both 6'2".
Okay, 6'2". Dave, how about this one? You answer this question while you're also thinking about that one. Arsenal not lucky on set pieces. Genuinely good here.
Correct.
Per betting analyst Mark O'Hare on X, the last 8 games in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Arsenal open play XG of 0.79. Third worst.
It didn't sound good.
Third worst in the league.
Facts.
Set piece XG 0.65. Second best. Only Villa slightly 0.66 on set piece XG ahead of Arsenal.
The key difference there the key fact there is the XG only matters because they're getting opportunities, but even then, that's minimal. But the bigger piece is they're scoring even with a relatively low XG, which is higher than everybody else.
They're so good at it, Saliba scores with his bottom.
Right.
It was the tush push. It was a soccer version of a tush push.
Dave,
this is not a Philadelphia Eagle podcast.
Surely this can't continue.
The set pieces?
Yes.
Yeah.
It can.
I think it can.
Who takes the other side?
Look at the trend.
Saka is on one side.
Declan Rice.
And Declan Rice. Okay. Yeah,
So it all depends on the delivery, and as long as those two keep putting
you'll never get
balls.
Yeah, I was going to say you're never going to get bad delivery really from.
I mean, sure, you're not going to get it every time.
Occasionally, sure.
But whatever they're doing it better than others, and if anything, it's like other teams are probably trying to scramble to find their next set piece coach because. In some level, it's probably some form of a mimic style league.
Who's your set piece coach?
If you're Nicholas Yover,
he got
the fact that I know
his
that
mural?
is ridiculous. Yeah, someone drew a mural of him.
Probably in a real weird part of town.
Yeah, but he's got
same place
one.
we got those.
Do you have one,
Gabriel?
No. Arsenal has many faults, but if you can cover, I think some of the best teams find areas that no one else cares about and finds ways to do better than other people in other areas. And I think corner kicks right now are an absolute threat from Arsenal. And it's one of those things too now that they've done it enough so that you kind of now start to expect it. Now other teams are really, really nervous about it and are really kind of focused. And once you kind of start believing that all you need is one corner kick, to get a chance, then that stuff starts happening to you more. And I don't know how to explain it, but Travis, it just seems like that happens. And maybe I'm a crazy person.
No, you're not.
It.
And you know what? It's kind of crazy because
it's
your
like
brothers,
Liverpool over the last 4 years, knowing that they have to have a goal in the last 4 minutes of a game,
they're concede something,
and they get it.
Yeah, well, to your earlier point, focusing on the things that no one else cares about, and identifying your faults and finding a way to make something else better so that your faults don't hurt you
your
as
weaknesses,
much, right?
Yeah.
And your brother said this a number of times, that Arsenal's strategies remind him very, very much of a Tony Pulis Stoke team.
Sure.
And the long throw,
course.
if you really think about it, the long throw
in
was their bread and butter. They couldn't score if you
but if you give them a
long throw from open play, they couldn't score if you gave
that guy's name? Delap?
Roy Delap, maybe. There's a couple of them. There was 4 or 5 guys that could really chuck it. But I think that's what it is. You guys are channeling
Tony
Pulis
Pulis.
Dave,
That's the kindest thing you could have ever said.
How about this for some numbers for you, Dave? You guys have scored 8 goals for the season from set pieces. Defensively, your next 3 games, you get Ipswich, you get Crystal Palace, you get Everton. Ipswich and Crystal Palace, 2 and tied for second fewest goals conceded from set pieces.
Interesting.
2 goals each. Everton have conceded 4 goals for the season from set pieces, which is pretty good. If you look on a list, of course, they're far down the list, but it's only 4 goals conceded. So, I don't know. Something's got to give here. I guess you probably choose the higher power of Arsenal over these weak, pathetic teams, Everton, Crystal Palace, and Ipswich. But what are you doing
2 of those
here?
are at home, too. That's important to note.
Yeah,
as
you
well.
guys are awesome at home.
We have been
hey,
strong
by
at
the
home.
way, really good on Arsenal. You guys are now at home defensively, number 1 again on
Really?
lowest XG, XG against. You guys are the number 1. You are at 5.86 XG against at home. You are now number 1. You've conceded 6 goals at home. Only Liverpool have conceded fewer, but Liverpool's expected goals conceded is significantly higher than yours.
It's interesting.
We have better goalkeeping.
Oh,
so,
I will say this, though, in fairness of that stat, we've played multiple. So we've played.
Virgil is good enough. He's like
He can
if you
give
put
KDB the
Gabriel,
ball.
if you put Gabriel and Saliba together, you'd get 1 Virgil.
Press fair,
at least
probably.
height-wise.
Yeah.
And
So-
amount of hair-wise.
The only thing I would say, and I'd love to support Arsenal in this, and I do think that that's awesome that they got around on that stat, but multiple of their tougher top table teams they've had to play away.
Yeah.
So in other words, we haven't played them yet at home. So that could be contributing to that a little bit. I know we've had did we play Liverpool away or did we play them did we go to Anfield? I think we had Liverpool at home. But I know for a fact Villa, Newcastle, City, and Tottenham were all away. And Chelsea was away, I believe.
City was definitely away.
And then United and Liverpool were home. Anyways, whatever. So it might not be exact as close. If only
Chelsea
there was a way.
away.
If only there was a way to look that up.
I mean, all the numbers in the world is not going to sway your decision whether or not to get the second or third best team in the league, Arsenal. So I guess the question is, everyone's got Saka already. Havertz is probably still decently selected, but probably not extremely high. And then after that, what?
Havertz is only 10% owned.
But Saliba's at 20. He said like 20. Over 20, almost 30%.
Timber's at 5.9.
Yeah, Timber is still a huge differential. Yeah. What's Raya at?
Raya,
I guess what I'm saying is
he's third. Raya's third overall in goalkeeper scoring, or tied for third, and Raya's at 30%.
30%, yeah.
Given the next 3 games, how are you prioritizing a transfer in, like say for someone like me who only has Saka of Arsenal players? I have 2 transfers.
So the safest play is Saliba.
My
not Timber.
The guy I want, I'll just say, is not a Arsenal player. I don't want to bring in an Arsenal
Tarkowski.
defender. Yeah, I really miss having Tarkowski on my team. No, it's Trent is who I want to go back to because I can't quit him. But I'm saying, like, why not Timber? And I get that Saliba's safe, but I'm just saying, like, are you looking for a defender first? Are you going with this real safety of Rhea? How are you doing this? A goalkeeper transfer is obviously usually the
I would
worst
not
thing you
transfer
can do.
in unless you have Raya. I don't know. I wouldn't transfer him in.
Okay.
But the safe play I think is Saliba because I don't think, and then Timber again. It seems like they got him, on it's not a baseball podcast, a pitch count. They're watching his minutes. So oftentimes, again, kind of like this, when a defender subs out in like the 70th minute, because then if someone scores after that, he still holds the clean sheet.
Yeah.
So I think there's a good chance he's going to get subbed out because they're still not giving him a full slate. I mean, there was a Champions League match.
I mean, he's played.
He did not start, but he came in and played.
Yeah.
And I think he'll start this weekend. So I personally own Timber. If I was, I know this for a fact Saliba's going to play.
Right.
So if you're worried about, if you're any concern there at all, just go with Saliba. But if you don't have as much of if you don't have as much of a concern, then you can go to Timber. Also, if you want to get wild and you want to just punt for the next couple weeks, you could also add, and you're just trying to if you look at Arsenal's schedule and you're like, oh my gosh, they got next 3 matches, and you've already said it, Everton, Palace, Ipswich, and then they're at Brentford after that. The guy who's been playing in Gabriel's stead is Kivior. He's 4'8", and he's 4'8".
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to chase a few clean sheets, he's played 2 games back-to-back, 90 minutes.
Yeah.
He also played today Champions League. That's the guy who you could go to and be like, if you really wanted to get cheap, if you wanted to spend some extra money somewhere else and wanted to Joe Gomez your way into the Arsenal defense for a couple weeks.
Gabriel's been in a hoodie.
I feel like I would do that if I knew if it was actually
if
you
it
got
was
any
more clear on
clarity,
Gabriel,
which you're never gonna get. I feel like I would do that because
Dinnery doesn't. Yeah, I don't know.
Kivior was he was up.
Timber's up to 5'7". I think I said 5'6". Just wanted to clarify.
Oh, he did go up tonight. I guess that's still okay. I don't know. I would
both.
still. I feel like I would still.
Raya went up last night too. By the way,
I would still want to do Timber, but I think the other part of it is they're playing 3 crap teams. I guess that's the separate discussion.
I think they probably
here.
get 2 clean sheets out of those 2 games.
Well, so Dave, do we need to talk about the Arsenal attack though? You're just for example, your XG against Fulham, which I'm sure you loved watching the Raul Jimenez score against you.
We came home and Soren said, Arsenal's on. I was like, yeah, Dave's not gonna be happy.
So funny thing about this game. So I go to church and I'm on the way and realize I've left my phone at home. So my plan was to start the game and then just pause it because it was going to be on during the time I was. So that was out of the question. So I call home. I talk to my daughter and I'm like, hey, turn on the TV. My daughter's homesick. She's not feeling well. Turn on the TV, get it to this, and hit pause. So she does it. I get home. I didn't check to see what game was on USA.
Oh.
It was Leicester Brighton.
So you had that. Oh, yeah.
So at that point, because I didn't have my phone, I didn't know. I thought for sure that in that 9 o'clock slate, the Arsenal game would be the main game.
No, they're only third place.
Couldn't have been more wrong.
See, this is what happens when you assume.
I never even saw the match.
You have to watch Jamie Vardy.
So then I never even saw the match because at that point it was done and dusted, and I just had to look at the score and be like,
you didn't watch a replay or anything. Has Scott not taught you anything about Peacock?
Dave,
I didn't want to wait at that point to watch the whole replay.
Another.
I wish I would have said something to you
against Fulham.
But it seemed like it wasn't good, and I was too disheartened to watch any of the highlights.
Numbers.
Well, you scored.
You did score,
and then you didn't because they took it away.
All right.
That one too.
So you're
Martinelli. I heard Martinelli was offsides in a spot where he shouldn't have been.
It was really tight.
Martinelli offside to chalk off what everyone would have wanted, which is a Saka goal. Would have helped the Saka captainers this week. Dave, thanks to Gino's Ball on X. Your total XG for the game was 1.93. Your set play XG 1.63, which if you can do that math real quick, your open play XG 0.3. I thought Odegaard coming back was going to fix all of this, Dave, and it did kind of for the games against West Ham and Nottingham Forest. But all three of your goals from the last two games coming from defenders. This is no way to run a team.
I think those are just anomalies.
Okay.
They scored 3 open play goals today against Monaco.
And Saka was crushing again.
Saka 2 goals and assist.
Havertz scored. So I guess this is what I'm saying. Everyone's like demanding that you have to move to the Arsenal defense because of these good fixtures, and I'm like, it's 3.
I mean, I wouldn't go with anyone else other than Saka at the moment. But you want to get crazy? Go grab Odegaard too. It's just not worth the money.
No.
Yeah.
Because chances are you already have Saka, Palmer, and Salah in your midfield.
And you're not moving up from one of the cheapo defender or forwards to go to Havertz at this point, right?
That's third on the list. We will maybe talk about it. We will talk about that.
All right. I'm just, I guess.
I own Havertz, and I have to make decisions.
Yeah.
But it's really tough looking at these next 3 games to look at it and go, oh, maybe I should sell him. Because that's what I did with Cunha a couple weeks ago. I brought him in.
Right.
And I've got nothing since, which is so much fun, Travis. Yeah. So much fun.
I still feel like it's Timber. Probably is.
I agree. That's weird.
I would say Timber.
I have a hard time
Timber's the move.
Processing that, but I'm also not doing well.
Like I'm not, like I get it, the safety of minutes. I'm like, there's no, if Gabriel comes back, which again, you're not going to know that. You're not going to, this isn't a, when do they play? Are they the first game on Saturday? Because if they are, then yes, they are. So they're one of the. You'll get a leak. The early game is 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time here in the United States, which means the deadline.
We don't have an early game this week?
There's no early game this week.
That's annoying.
Right. So you probably will know a lineup. I'm guessing you'll probably get a lot of fake lineups too, but you're not going to know if Gabriel comes back. You would have wanted. You'll want Gabriel anyway. Over Saliba, because you'll go back to probably what it was all season long. Saliba on an XG of 0.00 for 13 straight weeks.
Right.
0.00. 0.00.
That's pretty zero.
It can't get lower zero.
It's pretty beta.
When you go, well, you could go into the thousandths, I suppose, of the decimals.
Okay.
Can you have a negative XG?
Yeah, I think so.
How would you even get
if
that?
you kick it straight up? I think that's the only way. I think it actually counts as negative. Hey,
if you're like intentionally trying to score on your own goal, maybe.
Guy. Oh, we're going to. All right,
this is literally your hodgepodge of everybody else, including the one we haven't really talked about, which is Enzo, who is. Definitely
talked about him last week, but now I'm at the point where
look. So there's 1,000 other guys. It's just like if we want to go straight to the Chelsea guys right now, we can probably do that. Really, yes. I think it's okay.
I'm tired of talking about Arsenal.
No, it wasn't even that.
We've indulged.
No, there were definitely other players that were higher priority after these guys. But I think the issue is that Enzo is your top midfield transfer in. He's gone up from 4.9 to 5.0. Dave, your favorite thing? He's got 5 straight weeks of returns
with 5 shots on goal.
4 straight starts though. He's got 35 points in those last 4 games. Well, kind of 3 goals from 3 shots on target.
Now we're talking
8 total shots, and also 2 assists.
But there's
from
a stat.
2 big chances created.
Okay, but there's a stat. I thought it was more big chances than that. There's a certain stat out there. He's created more something and something than anyone else in the league, whatever that something and something was, Travis.
I'm sure that's really something.
It is.
He's
like
way
something.
more creative than he has been.
Yeah, well,
in the last 3 or 4 match weeks.
Maresca has figured out how to play him, what position to put him in.
That seems to be the way that everyone is kind of reading
Spinning
this.
it.
And he's returned in 5 straight match weeks.
Right.
One of them where he came in with 22 minutes and still gave a return. So that's
12.
why I'm looking at it and I'm like, he's 5-0. He's 5.0 pound dollars.
Yeah, I think
I should bring him in right now. His ownership is 5.4%. I'd rather own him than Semenyo right now.
And Semenyo's more expensive, yeah.
Yeah, I think if you're picking from the guys who are over 5'5", like in that like Smith Rowe, Iwobi's the one guy who if you had the money, I'd probably think about it just because
he continues to stay red hot.
It's super odd too, right?
No, I don't think so.
Iwobi's 5'7".
No, I'm saying because the enabler up to this point has been Morgan Rogers. So that's a question. If you're wild carding,
the fallacy and fakeness of Morgan Rogers.
Well, he's got a couple of hits.
You hate it because you didn't have him whenever he did some things, and you got him. He did nothing.
But he's done nothing. He's done 2 match weeks where he's done something.
Yeah, he's done not enough. But I guess that's the thing. If you were wild carding right this second, then then you're not. I'm not sure what anyone is talking about as far as creativity for Enzo, because in the last 4 games, this is 4.
So you searched all the stats.
No, I'm telling you, he's created 8 chances. So in the last 4 games, like Odegaard's got 13 chances created. Yuri Tielemans 12 chances created. Saka, Palmer, Bowen all ahead of him. Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne, Bruno, all of those guys ahead of him.
Oh, okay.
He's on the same number of chances created as Declan Rice and Eberechi Eze and Mbumo. They're all there. That's the range. He's still in the top. He's still a top
10.
Yeah, he's still a top. Like if you take the total, just as the highest total, he's a top 6 or whatever. But it's not. He had I think it's that positionally, it's working the way it was Zofar on the FPL Wire podcast was talking about how where he's playing on the left is perfectly complementary with what Cole Palmer's doing on the right. The guy that somebody else was it's a guy that's a Spurs it's a Spurs account actually. We just talked about it's the Invert the Wing is the account on Twitter. He just was talking about how Maresca basically his profiling of Enzo has put him into the perfect position. Said playing him to his main strength, dictating play without putting the creativity burden too heavily on him, and giving cover with Lavia and Caicedo.
Both of them.
So he's saying
exactly
that
right.
Now it's a combination of he's positionally at all of his strengths, not asking too much of him, and protecting him where he's not having to
do
cover.
dirty work.
Yeah. So that's the thing. You'd hate it because he says basically that Maresca is the true genius of the Pep Guardiola coaching tree.
Oh.
Not your guy, Mikel Arteta.
Okay. All right.
But I guess all of that to say, Enzo, this is a good run of results for him.
Really good.
I just don't he's still it's $5. So I still think if that's your low end guy, I guess
you could do worse.
I guess you play him in the plus matchups, which Chelsea have 1 million still.
Coming up. All right, now, Brian.
But it still seems like if that's a money saving move and you're prioritizing, if your midfield is, how's your midfield right now? It's Saka. It's probably the template of Saka, Palmer, Salah. How people are going with their whatever that 4th midfielder is. There are lots of people I'm sure that are going to have Morgan Rogers and Enzo.
All right, real quick.
So you're benching someone in
Can
there
we
usually.
play a name game?
I guess
to Fantasy Focus.
Yeah.
Can we play a name game?
Go ahead.
All right. Would you rather have Enzo or Damsgaard from Brentford? Damsgaard has scored more than Enzo on the season.
I would rather have
Enzo.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Enzo or Morgan Rogers?
At
the moment, for the next 5 match weeks.
I would probably take Enzo, but I think it's because Aston Villa.
Those fixtures are not great.
Well, the next 3, it's Forest, City, Newcastle. 2 of them are away.
All right.
After that,
All right. Well, hold on.
it goes.
hold
gets
on.
real good.
Just go. Just go in the
Talking
next.
about right now.
You said no. All right.
I'm still saying yeah, but also I bought Morgan Rogers. I bought him at 5, so he's 5'4". So
Okay.
yeah, so I'd be cashing in a 2
You'd be
tenths.
getting 2 tenths. There's nothing wrong with
Right.
that. All right. Would you rather own Enzo or Smith Rowe?
I think. What's Smith Rowe's minutes? Has he been subbing out early?
Smith Rowe's
He's always
fi-
going to.
Smith
off.
Rowe's
He's always-
5'5".
He's always
coming
going to
up.
sub out.
He's
early.
always
Kearney
subbing.
or Wilson.
Yeah, I'd take the hot hand here.
Okay. Enzo or Clivert? Bournemouth.
That's a good question. That is a great question.
I hate the idea of buying a Bournemouth midfielder of any kind.
Okay.
He is a penalty taker, though.
I know.
Okay. So Enzo is
I like that one.
okay. Enzo or Dwight McNeil?
That McNeil hasn't done anything, has he?
He was.
like
Did he get an
10
assist
weeks?
in the last game?
I think he did.
I don't want.
He had 2 assists last game.
Did he?
back on everyone's radar because he's put in a performance. No, I think I still
Want Enzo? All right.
I think the argument for Chelsea is that because offensively, overall they've had
They've been scoring a lot. All right, last
Yeah.
one. Enzo
Chelsea
or
actually now for the season, they're the number 1 XG in away games. They are, way down there. Why are they so low at home? 14th. They're 10th overall. 14.24 in home games.
all right.
For XG.
Last name game.
But number
name.
1 for the season, the number 1 XG creating team.
On the season.
Chelsea Football Club,
Okay.
your second favorite team.
That is not true. Last
It'll be
name
Tottenham.
in the name game. I swear, and then we'll be over.
No, it won't.
Enzo or Alex Iwobi?
I have some
That's a good one,
Iwobi
too.
things.
Well, I'm asking you for names at the moment.
The
Alex
reason
Iwobi, and then you can back it up in a minute.
Money-
Travis, Alex Iwobi, or Enzo?
money no object.
Money, no object. Next 5 match weeks.
I don't know. I would still take Enzo for the next 5 game weeks just because Fulham's got a
that's
couple.
what we're talking about.
Got
Fulham's
a
got
couple
some
tricky
doozies.
ones. But Fulham is about to go on an extremely good run of fixtures.
After Chelsea. Yep.
And I was going to say after Liverpool, just take them.
Yeah. Well, Southampton's a big one, but you
Right.
still got to deal with Chelsea.
Take
still.
them there.
Yeah, I agree. Next
right.
5,
But there's
Probably
All right, the
will
last
point
one.
is,
all right,
the point
sorry.
is under
Real last one.
I told you. It
Amad
wasn't gonna be the last
Diallo.
one.
under
That
6.
was the other one he's talking
Yeah,
about.
I don't know. I honestly don't know enough about Diallo anyway.
Travis?
And I still think that it's Manchester United development time.
United is too volatile. They're doing
right.
weird things, as we learned from Rashford, which is one of the next things we need
Second
to
to
talk
last
about, too.
one, Sade.
He fades out
Kevin Sade.
He just
He got bent-
shades out.
this week. He played 17 minutes.
Played 17 minutes.
Right.
He had
That's all he needed.
back-to-back 69s, and then he had a 17.
Yeah. So it's not because he's bad. I think it's just.
All right.
But also, this was Enzo's. This is the first time for a while that he's started consecutive matches, and the fact that he started four in a row and played 90 minutes in each
Yeah.
of them. I think it's just the form is demanding that he plays.
And the results have been good while he's done it. He's not doing it because
Right.
someone else is sucking and he's needed to come in to just clean up as
I'm
like
just
a
saying,
last resort.
I'm just saying, like, he's gotten good returns. The points are very good, and yes, you love 14 points in 2 games, but like it's not the most. Lots of other players outscored him. Obviously, it's
It
the
will
fact
be.
that It's the fact that he's $5,
Yeah.
and he's playing in a team that's generating the highest XG and has scored the actual highest number of goals of any team in the league right now. Like, I think that's the reason. Like, It's the reason why I went to Nicholas Jackson. It's the reason why Nicholas Jackson is one of my 3 forwards right now.
Well, we'll get to that in a second when we talk strikers.
But I'm
Brian.
just saying, like, all of the Chelsea midfielders this week, everyone, because in the last 2 games, they all smashed mostly because of the Southampton game. So Madueke is one of the top scorers of the past 2 weeks.
Right.
But you couldn't possibly bring him in because of the huge swings in minutes, and you have the manager talking about how he can do more and needs to keep kind of maintain focus and the same levels of intensity. He's not going to be a starter all the time. And Kunku comes in to troll everyone for 90 minutes against Southampton and has a really great game, and then goes back to 14 minutes against Spurs. Jadon Sancho, back-to-back goals in two straight starts and back-to-back goals. So, like, Jadon Sancho, I mean, that's the thing is he's 6'2". So that 6.2 is not a midfielder that you're, like, eager to go after if Cole Palmer is already one of your 5 midfielders. So I don't think that any of them are necessarily bad picks. It's just that Enzo has kind of distanced himself by price, by performance, by actual results. Like,
if he wasn't 5, though, we wouldn't be talking about him.
Right. If he was the same price as these other guys, if he had started the season at 6 and he was still that high, I think you'd have it would be a little bit different. Yeah, for sure. But 5 is still, while he's 5, he's not going to be Cole Palmer from last year, but it's still like, it's good. I just think it's how do you want to stack up your Chelsea players right now? Yeah. And once you get to the defenders or Robert Sanchez, like, do you want Sanchez as your goalkeeper? Do you want Colwill as your, or one of the Chelsea defenders in this, for the fixtures? Like I said, if you're like, for me, I'm already on 2 Chelsea players as it is. Do I really want to make my third player, Enzo, who I think, like, again, it's the volume. Like, he's not taking a ton of shots. He's taking 8 shots. That's fine. It's just not very many. And he's not going to go 3 for 3 for shots on target every time.
Who's your second Chelsea player?
Nick
Palmer.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Nico.
Palmer.
Nico Jackson.
How'd that feel, by the way?
It felt horrible.
We talked about it, and we're like, there's no way.
That week, though.
What's no way?
Nkunku. They benched Jackson for Nkunku.
Who did I?
We're like, there's no way that'll happen. Everybody's talking about it, but it'll never happen. It
definitely happened. And then Nico came off early on the weekend. He was not happy. Not happy at all. Like, really made it obvious, not happy coming off the pitch. And then when he got to the bench, making sure.
I was not all that disappointed that week because I had benched Morgan Rogers. So 2 weeks ago in the Nicholas Jackson 0 minutes, Morgan Rogers was my first bench. So I got Morgan Rogers.
Did you get his points too? Morgan Rogers' points?
Get out of here.
So I got so it ended up being all
those Cunha points.
It ended up not being too bad.
Okay.
But that's why that's also lucking into points. So it's not.
Let's talk about some strikers. It's time to play a game that Dave wants to play, which is pick 3 and tell me why. Right? Isn't that what you called it?
Yeah. I think it's this is the striker fest. Pick 3, not Holland. Any 3, because price doesn't matter at this point. Pick your best 3. Whether they're currently on your team or not, I want to know, each of us, what our best 3 strikers are for the next 5 match weeks. And if you're not ready, I can go first.
Go first. It's your game.
Well, number 1, it would be Isak. Isak is not currently in my team, but I want Alexander Isak, especially with the fact that Callum Wilson is now injured again, shock to no one. You could have running bets on who would stay more injured more, Reece James or Callum Wilson, and I would take neither. That is just shocking. Number 2, I would take Nico Jackson. Regardless of whatever's going on at Chelsea and or how upset he is, unless more information comes out that he is on the outs with the club or Maresca, and he's not going to be playing and he's going to be benched. But with their upcoming schedule, my goodness, if I could get him in the squad, I would do that. So it's Isak, Nico Jackson, and then for my last forward not named Haaland, that is a tough one. That is a real tough one. Man. For the next 5 match weeks, I would take. I know his schedule's not good.
Erling Haaland.
No, I'd probably still take Cunha, even though he's got me the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would take Cunha. So if I could, my striker select 3, not name Haaland, over the next 5 match weeks, transfers out the window. It would be in this order: Isak, Nico Jackson, and then Cunha.
I agree with Cunha and Isak. I think Vissa and João Pedro are probably a toss-up for my third.
This is not a pick 4. This is a pick 3.
I think Vissa is where I would go just out of form.
Regardless of
not
his
because
schedule?
of fixtures. His fixtures aren't awesome, but I do think that I don't think he's form-proof, but I think he has scored plenty of goals against difficult teams. And I think his form is good. So I think that would be my third.
Vissa has been on pace for a little while every other match week. So he got something this past match week against Newcastle. Expect him to blank this next week at Chelsea.
Yeah, and the way things are going, he'll score at Forest. He won't score at Brighton. He'll score at Arsenal. He won't score at Southampton.
Sounds about right.
You know how it is. So.
Sounds about right. All right, so is that who your third is, Vissa?
Yeah.
So it's
Cunha,
Isak, not Nico Jackson, and Vissa.
Vissa.
Okay.
That's my
think,
3.
Yeah, for Vissa, it's only not. Yeah, I think it's just. I mean, Chelsea's whatever. I mean, defensively they've been.
I think it'll
they've
be
been fine. Nottingham Forest has been very good.
I like
but
Vissa.
I mean, it's still a home game for them. No, I mean, Dave,
All right, Brian,
that
pick
is
3.
my
Brian's pick 3.
I mean, that is my 3. One of my moves this week is I have to probably take a hit to do it, or at least lose Bruno Fernandes to do it. But Raul Jimenez to Isak, and then I already have Nicholas Jackson and Cunha in my team. Although Chris Wood, I think, is a legit consideration for 5 weeks.
I looked at that too.
There isn't a bad matchup in there. So they're home to Villa. That's great. They're at Brentford. That's amazing. They're home to Spurs. That's amazing. Then they're at Everton and at Wolves. That's amazing. There's not one game in there where, I mean, Nottingham Forest should feel great about the possibility of getting a result in all 5 of those games.
They shouldn't be scared for the next 7 games.
So
I mean, honestly, like Chris Wood, I mean, lots of people are going to say it. I'm sure he was a trendy pick for a second. Then, he has, he goes 2-1 there against Newcastle and Arsenal. So whatever, and I think nobody really leaped back on him because there's Ipswich then City, and so you're like, well, I don't want him for the City game. So he does what expect there. But in between, scores against Ipswich, scores against Manchester United last week, scores the penalty against Manchester United, which is fantastic. Now they're back on this great, I'd say a very good run of 5 games. I'm not doing it, but it's not because it's not good.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there at the same time and I'm looking at, João Pedro's security of minutes has been good while Welbeck has been out of the team. Welbeck back in the team last game, only played 20 minutes, but whatever, at least he's back. So, and Brighton kind of underwhelming. So it would be hard to go to one of those guys. Another, for as far as the fixtures go, I mean, Evan Nielsen, the next 5 for Bournemouth are, I'd say, also very good. It's just the courage it takes, I think, to have him compared to some of those other guys. Just he's only 4.6% selected.
Right.
I think but still I think he's an extremely good choice. Just at this point, do you still have a wild card or not? And that's probably hardly anybody that still does. So if you're completely remaking your team, you might be thinking about you're putting one of those cheap guys in there. But if you're picking out of all the available people, I mean, if it wasn't Ipswich coming up for Wolves, followed by Leicester, if it wasn't those next 2 games, I mean, Cunha would probably be, or Strand Larson. Like you'd be abandoning ship as fast as possible on every Wolves asset just because. I mean, manager certainly next to go. One bad result in either of those games. Manager gone. Was there a story about them possibly offering a deal to Mourinho? Who was that? Who was that about?
What?
I'm serious. There was a story. There's a story out there about somebody offering trying to get offering a deal for Mourinho.
Is he still in Turkey?
It was like a $5 million deal to come in and manage someone. Was it Wolves? I don't think it was Wolves. I can't. You have to look it up. Anyway, point is they're about to have a new manager. The results have been awful. They did get hosed against West Ham. Absolutely hosed against West Ham. So Cunha should have been taking at least a penalty in that game. A stomp on the foot in the box. You can look it up right now for sure.
Oh yeah, no, I remember that now.
So easily should have, would have, could have been a lot different for Cunha. At least it would have been something.
Now, in all that, in our name game, thank you, Fantasy Focus.
Wait a second. Do you want to know about Isak?
What do we need to know
what
about
do I
Isak?
need to? I mean, I already know he's a good player. I need to own him.
Well, I mean, 2 weeks ago, he's leaving after 20 minutes or whatever it was against Crystal Palace with a hip injury. So that's why I'm saying, like,
I think it's fine now.
Well, so it wasn't that obviously wasn't that big of a deal because he played 90 minutes against Liverpool, 90 minutes against Brentford, goes for 19 points in the last 2 games. So obviously, like a high priority transfer, you would think. We talked about him 3 pods ago. You're not going back to listen to it. I should have listened to myself then because we went through the numbers since no, never. Since Isak returned from his injury in game week 8, among forwards, he's tied for first in points with Cunha. So even since game week 8, he and Matheus Cunha have tied. 50 points since game week 8. So they're still the 2 top scoring forwards. He's got 5 goals, which only Chris Wood has more goals than that since game week 8. He's third for shots on target, third for shots in the box. He's got 9 big chances. That's the hugest number of all of them. Only Haaland is ahead of him in big chances. And this is like the stat that's wild with those guys. It's Haaland and Watkins now. It's Haaland, Watkins, Isak are like your top 3, like basically since Isak came back from the injury. The drop-off from so it's touches in the opposition box. It's Haaland 55, Watkins 58. Isak, it's not out of order. Watkins 58, Haaland 55, Isak 52. Then there's the drop off to the next level is 38. Wow. Raul Jimenez. Wow. So those guys are just like Watkins isn't. I mean, he's not in that list. He's just not giving you the. It's too expensive. He's just way too expensive. Just not doing enough and whatever.
Well, all right. So,
but either way, all of that to say, Isak is crushing all of the attacking statistics. Also, 2 assists in the past since game week 8 on 14 chances created. It was the same before. Only Matheus Cunha has more chances created than Isak does. So other than on all the numbers say Isak is your number 1 forward,
right?
Because you're not buying Haaland, probably not, and you're not bringing in Ollie Watkins on a yellow triangle and on what was reduced minutes for sure. Yeah. Other than the fact that he's made of the finest porcelain held together by only also the finest Swedish silk, the risk with him I think might be minutes. Because of the injury to Callum Wilson, it assures that he's not going to get rotated to start, but you love the Leicester Ipswich Villa matchups in the next 3 games. I think you kind of like the Manchester United Tottenham matchups after Villa, but Leicester and Ipswich, if they get either of those 2 games under control, why is he going to play 90 minutes?
Agree.
What in the world would you keep him out there for 90 minutes for?
Maybe he can score.
if Anthony Gordon missed out in the last game, like they're talking about losing already, preparing for big offers from definitely from Manchester City to get Bruno Guimaraes from them in January.
Oh yeah.
So they have, they talk like that's one of their assets. They have to. It's Isak and Bruno G are like their big money guys. So like
and Gordon probably too.
It just seems like they have like they could get real thin real fast, and it just seems like. I mean, I want to go to them, but it just seems like if they're winning at 60 minutes, sit down because you can't lose them again.
No,
but whatever.
Because you don't have anybody else,
right?
Yeah.
All right, following the strikers, Brian, for a brief moment that I thought Rashford was a striker, but no, Rashford's still a midfielder.
Classified as a.
We talked about Rashford the last couple weeks, and I was last week specifically in the name games talked up Rashford, and yet I didn't transfer him in. It was between him and Brennan Johnson, and Brennan Johnson at this point looks like he's way more guaranteed for minutes because the last 2 match weeks after Mr. Rashford had gone back-to-back weeks with an 8 and a 14 since Amarin had come in, and then the next 2 match weeks against Arsenal and Forest, he subbed in both games in the 69th minute. Rashford subs in, plays 31 minutes, and gets nothing, no returns in those 2 match weeks. I'm just blown away by all of a sudden he starts center striker, scores 3 goals in 2 match weeks in the Premier League, and then now he's back
out on the wing,
subbing in again. And I'm Travis. I'm just blown away. Maybe I shouldn't be because this is Manchester United, and it seems like they threw class out the window when Ferguson left. So I don't know what's going on there. Rashford maybe is more complicated than we think. Maybe not.
Weird thing about Rashford when you watch those matches, though, since he's moved back outside, it's almost like his teammates don't want to pass to him.
It's so weird.
Like he's taking up reasonable positions, he's making runs, but it's almost like he's invisible for most of what he's doing. Amad Diallo is over there, moving around a lot more and getting into good positions, and Rashford is helping him do that by drawing defenders.
Yeah.
But it's like he can't get the ball, and it's not that he's not open. They're not passing to him, and it's to the point where it almost seems on purpose. It's very strange, very strange.
I feel like it's what he's sort of claimed in the media. I
haven't heard anything like that.
Yeah, it's just awkward.
Something's definitely going on.
All right,
it has been for a while.
I just wanted to bring it up and acknowledge that because I would have never guessed. Oh, it was technically a week ago, but we've had 2 match weeks since then. That I would have said after 2 straight returns from Rashford since Amarin came in, I just figured that it would continue, and I was horribly wrong. I am wrong.
Well, one, Sky Sports, among other places, is talking about that. Basically, if Manchester United want to make any January transfers, they're going to need to make money. They have to sell someone. Marcus Rashford is a top candidate for that. They're also saying that Manchester United were willing to sell him in the summer, but there were no offers, which is I think probably just speaks to his end of season form and summer. Yeah. And then now, like, there are transfer probably partners because he's looked better for sure. But also, even last game, like Bruno Fernandes scores the goal in a game where they're trailing, and Bruno got subbed early. And I think that was probably, that's preservation. Like even Bruno Fernandes, a 90-minute man, can't make it 90 minutes in a match where they kind of need it. So. Yeah. It just seems like there's so much volatility with Manchester United. And
no, you're right. That's a great way to put it. And I just still glad I didn't go there, but I just want to recognize on the pod, I pretty much was saying I'm going to pick Rashford almost over anyone And then I didn't do it. I did go with Brennan Johnson. Kind of glad I did after Rashford didn't start the last 2 match weeks.
Twos are better than ones.
Yes, no doubt about it. All right, all that being said, Travis, you know enough about this new chip to discuss it?
Probably to get started.
Not very reassuring.
Assistant manager chip takes effect in match week 24. It's essentially you play the chip, and it gives you the ability for 3 match weeks to select an assistant manager with a price of 0.5 to 1.5. You do not get more money, so you'll have to finagle that with other transfers that are being made, and then you obviously get points for wins, draws, and you also get additional points for, is it goals scored? You get points for goals scored too.
It's bonuses for
goals scored, and even more bonuses if it's an upset of a victory or tie over a team that is 5 or more places above you in the table.
Interesting.
So a decent amount of opportunities for strategy there. Obviously the marketing pitch there is, do you just pick slot? Because he obviously they've put together a number of tables. He has the most points from any manager if you would have had them for the whole season in that fashion. However, Areola is the manager with the largest score in a 3 match week stretch, something like 47 points. So are you going to go for what is the highest probability of getting points, or are you going to go for the opportunity to potentially
a lower manager overachieve?
Right. Right. Find somebody that's going to overachieve. It's an interesting concept. I think it's clever. I think it's probably a little more complicated than I really want to dive too deep into. But it is an interesting concept for sure.
Some assortment of, obviously not everyone's going to love everything that happens. FPL Villain, podcast favorite for all of your Aston Villa news, simply said, no wonder they kept it a mystery with a turd.
Yeah.
The poo emoji. Also kind of funny. Somebody pointed it out earlier. It was, I need to find it. Give me 2 seconds. Riveting while you sit there. Andy, let's talk FPL. Andy just realized once the assistant manager chip ends, you're going to get your money back and that you spent on the manager, but then it just goes into your bank and you still need to make another transfer to spend it, which is great. Also, Baker, above average FPL, reading through the real rules of it, it says in the rules, once the chip is activated, choosing your assistant manager does not cost a free transfer. But if you want to change your manager during this 3-game week period, it will cost a transfer in exactly the same way as players.
Interesting.
So he just said, so you can use transfers and have 3 different managers during the 3-week period.
Sure.
I guess so. There's some of the people who are more optimistic about it, it basically comes down to hey, you wanted something different.
Yeah.
This really kind of shakes it up. It changes you can't activate another chip during those 3 game weeks.
Now that's an interesting
That's a big
thought.
deal. That
you can't wild card.
Right. And so I think a big strategy I think was just kind of prepping for whenever, because game week 34 is a double game
weeks was
definitely
one of the
and now
double game
Liverpool's
weeks.
going to have another one since they and Everton did not play this weekend.
Yeah, potentially.
So
right.
Salah's got probably going to have a triple captain coming up soon.
If
That
you
my
didn't-
guess is going to be powerful.
Yeah, if you didn't use your triple captain early in the season on one of the Holland games, then you
That
have your
flopped.
right. You have or one of the good ones in the first.
No
3
one
weeks.
picked those.
No, you have now definitely a Salah triple captain. Well, you're not using your assistant manager chip.
Can you
then
can you make the assistant manager your captain?
I don't
think he can. That'd be kind of interesting.
I don't think so. But anyway,
I didn't see anything about that.
No.
But interesting.
Yeah, it definitely shakes things up at the end of the season. It just adds more strategy, especially for people who maintained all or most of their chips through this part of the season.
Yeah, it's the double game weeks. I think is the biggest consideration, simply because the long-term talk has been: do you play your wild card or do you play your free hit during double game weeks? And let's say you burned one of those for something else. You've got another opportunity to potentially bring in some additional points, and they're not meager points. I mean, looking at what some of the 3-game spreads were, it was like 10 points a game week is on average is what some of those guys are hitting. That's kind of nice. That could really be helpful.
I can't remember who it was. Should have marked it down. Just talking about end of season Sean Dyche. Assuming he's still Everton manager, just saying like if they're
trying to push,
if they're in a relegation scrap, like just choosing a good 3-match run.
By then I'll probably pick Sam Allardyce wherever he is.
Right.
For sure. But yeah, maybe that's probably not a bad idea. He's out there somewhere.
Honestly, somebody that I thought
Wolves probably.
I mean, basically it's February when Spurs will get all of their. Like a lot of their missing players back once they're a little bit more full. There is no team like at that point.
Who
Spurs
are they missing? Bentancur?
Well, now they're missing Romero and Van de Ven.
Romero's back.
Bentancur, no, Romero's not back. Today he and Van de Ven both setbacks,
injured again,
out for multiple weeks.
He played.
They're gonna have it'll be Dragusin and I think who was it? Mikey Moore. It was Archie Gray or something.
Who
like
was
that.
also coming back from an injury.
Right. So they have problems.
Sheesh.
Like the center back pairing is a bad spot for them right now. But Richarlison's out. Bentancur has been out for a while. Like
I miss Richarlison.
They've just got they've had so many of these like long-term injuries. So basically by then Spurs, I mean they're at what 10th? Are they 10th in the table? Something like that.
Something like that.
They're down far. So if it's like, playing.
You're okay. I'll die. Don't you go dying on me.
Well, I'm just saying
11th, Brian.
Well,
Yeah,
11th. Just think of like how many clubs are further ahead of them in the table. Spurs can beat anybody. That's why I'm like
they can also lose.
They can lose to
absolutely can lose to anybody.
Literally.
So, but that's what I'm saying. Like you want to really swing for the fences, you might have a chance to swing for the fences with a 3-match run for Spurs.
Awesome. All right, night moves. I've already made a move on pod, Brian.
Jeez.
You love those?
He moved to Rashford.
Semenyo out, Enzo in.
All right, that's sensible.
I am also, and daggone it, if it wasn't for the next 3 games, I would go Havertz to Isak. But Havertz has home Everton, at Palace, home Ipswich.
Yeah.
And it just feels like, man, definitely not worth the point for hit to do it.
Yeah, okay.
I just feel like there's points there, so I'm not going to do it. Even though I think if I was choosing, I would go to Isak. But Havertz is already in my team. I have Havertz, Cunha, and Chris Wood. So I'm not so and then I have start selection problems this week. I mean, I have Enzo and Palmer against Brentford, Salah home to Fulham, Saka home to Everton, and Brennan Johnson at Southampton. That's my midfield. So it's like, and then my strikers, Cunha's home Ipswich, at Havertz home Everton, and then Chris Wood home Villa. I mean, everyone's got a home match this week.
That's tough.
I kind of got some selection problems. So anyways, defense is not as good as offense, but really good offensive week. I wish I had a bench boost. Well, I could play bench boost, but I don't have a full bench, so we're not going to do that. Anyways, that's my night move. Captain is staying on Mohamed Salah.
Huh.
Home to Fulham. I hear the there, because you could argue that Saka home to Everton is worth a look.
I would agree with that.
And obviously Palmer. Look, I went back and counted out of the 15. We had 15 or 16 match weeks so far this season. I've only had 3 that haven't hit on a captain. And in a lot of them, probably more than half of those hit kind of in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
Not just but at least I've had, with the exception of 3 weeks, ironically, all 3 on Holland, I've had good returns on captains. And so hopefully that will continue. That's probably the reason why at the moment I'm first in the mini league and 6th in the podcast league. Because mainly of hitting on captains. I'm serious. It's that big of a deal.
It's really important.
I mean, I was, in second place about 3 weeks ago by like 10 points, and now I'm ahead by 26 in the mini league, which is just crazy. But I think it's the captains that's been the difference.
Yeah, it's good. I've got a transfer.
Moves.
I've got a transfer, but I think I'm gonna have to bank it. I have a lot of problems. A lot of problems.
So you taking it to the bank?
I'm just gonna take it to the bank, let it ride.
Shorty, what you drink?
See
Brian.
what happens.
Yeah, that's what happened to me last week. I just ended up banking the transfer.
Are you banking again?
No, he's gonna take a hit this week. He's gonna use them and take a hit.
Well, so that's my question is, I've got a couple defenders. Like, obviously, I would remake my entire back line, I think, right now if I could. Greaves can go. Gvardiol, I don't know. I think the injuries for City, Ake and Akanji are both out for a while now. So I think the City...
Lewis is now banned for a match.
The City analysis is basically because they're so thin, Gvardiol's not going to be able to play as
offensive,
attacking. Yeah. He'll need to play more, truly more defensive, which is not why you don't want him for that. I don't want a Manchester City defender who's not attacking because they're not good defensively right now. No, and then so it's Morgan Rogers I'm still fine hanging on to him. It's what to do with Bruno Fernandes, but the bigger issue is Cunha's not going anywhere. I can't sell him ahead of Ipswich. Nicholas Jackson was in for a long term hold. It's Raul Jimenez as my third forward who started again. He got a little bit of a rest. Got a little bit of a fire lit under him from the threat of Muniz. I don't think Muniz is ever going to take that spot back.
No,
and of course,
scored a goal
again. Lucked into some points off the bench thanks to the called off Everton Liverpool game. So he was second bench. I was not. I did not trust that he was even going to start again, and. Since Mikolenko was also not available to sub in for me, I got my second bench. I can't remember the last time I got a second bench player coming in. But either way,
this past week,
if I want to go Raul to Isak, then the only person that can go is Bruno Fernandes. I could sell Gvardiol and go to a 4.3 defender, but there's not. I don't want to go to another defender who's that cheap.
I get it.
What I want to do, like I said, an easy, if I really wanted to play it safe, it could just be one move: Gvardiol out, Timber in, and just hold on.
Why not?
And hold on to Raul for now. It's because
what are you trying to catch?
Well, the hit would be Isak in, Trent Alexander-Arnold in.
Why?
Because I want the fixtures. Because I want Liverpool I want Liverpool playing against Fulham, then attacking at Spurs, then Leicester, then West Ham in the next 4 games.
Fulham is a bogey team for Liverpool. Home or away, doesn't matter. Silva has their number.
Now, Fulham at home is different than Fulham away, and what the announcer said when they were playing at Arsenal was when Fulham is playing at home, they always score and they always concede. And so it's funny because that's the way they've played. They did it exactly this week.
Yeah.
Fulham is no joke. But I just still think
Fulham is a good squad.
No, for sure. And that's why, but it's still Liverpool playing at home. Then they're at Spurs, who I don't know.
Sure. It
could
Which
literally
Spurs
go
is it
either
gonna
way.
Be? Good Spurs or bad Spurs?
It's more likely to be a bad Spurs.
All right, Brian.
I agree.
Captain.
But I'm just saying, like, the point is, like, that's going to require a hit, and it would also require a hit to take out Bruno Fernandes. I would, as it stands, I would play Bruno at Manchester City this week.
I plan to.
I'm not, I guess I don't want to curse myself here, but I'm not scared of it.
Okay.
So that's the question. It's like, again, we're back at that same thing. It's like I'm taking out Bruno Fernandes and Gvardiol, who have been fantastic overall for the season, and bringing in, like, I think, better people. But the money worked out exactly. It would be Bruno to, like, it could go as high as a Iwobi.
Okay.
So that's the thing. It would be 5.7 remaining.
But you could get to Enzo.
Right. And Enzo is another option. Right. But
So you could go TAA Enzo for
And Isak,
Bruno
right?
and Gardeval.
Mm-hmm. TAA, Enzo, and Isak, or Gvardiol, Bruno, and Raul Jimenez.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I don't really think anybody would hesitate on the second option.
I think you're fine.
All right. Who you captaining?
As it stands, I'm riding the hottest hand in sports, Cole Palmer. I know that's a.
You're going cold. At the moment, I think I'm going Salah.
I hear what you're saying about Saka. I'm tempted to move to Saka, but I think I'm going to just leave it on Salah.
Yeah.
He's had a rest.
I'm a big chicken scaredy cat, so I'll tell you what. Leave it on Salah.
I mean, if you have Isak and Newcastle home to Leicester City, who are not anything that matters defensively.
Yeah, defensively.
Also, not a crazy captain choice, Alexander Isak this week.
Yeah, agree.
I hear that.
All right, I'm going Salah. Brian, you're going cold. Travis, you're going
probably Salah.
I could get internet peer pressured into moving it to Salah too. I mean, he's the best player in the game. But Cole, I just think that there's the ceiling players. Like, they're all ceiling players. Like, I looked through and I was like, oh, well, Saka doesn't have the same ceiling that some of those guys do. And I'm like, he's got some massive games this season. So it's not like he can't. I don't trust Everton. I trust Everton a little more defensively. I feel like they can get a defensive result. Right now, Brentford is like, they are not.
Yeah.
They cannot.
Yeah.
Fulham can. And so that's where I'm like,
fair.
So that was the thinking behind it.
Totally fair.
But anyway.
All right, very good. I'm going to run down quickly, Travis, as we close it out here, the podcast league. What page? There it is. Podcast league. I'm going to read the top 6. Travis, can you figure out why I would want to read the top 6 in the podcast?
Not for the life of me could I even imagine
League
why.
Dan Chaumazio with a total of 968 in first place. Overall rank, I think this is worth it, in the top 80,000, 79,385. That is pretty good.
Great job, man.
League Glenn SOLFC with a total of 953, 13 points behind him. Wind Beneath Tie Wings, League Max has creeped out. I love that name. I love a good fantasy FPL name. Wind Beneath Tie Wings.
Okay,
Can't
I
talk.
like it.
League Max 948. League Brett's Ballers. He's been around the top 5 all season at 940. League Michelle Allison Wonderland. Did you get that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there you go. 939 and 4 points behind Allison in 6th place.
Because Allison is a huge John Mayer fan.
Allison
Honestly, he might be.
Wonderland. Yeah. League Michelle. And then Timberland. League David. That's me. 935. 6th place in the podcast league. I've never been higher. The fact that I'm higher than League Michael Nirvana State is ridiculous. I've definitely never been higher than him in the table. He's a long-time podcast contributor, or fan FPL podcast. He's been in our league. I can't talk anymore. I'm so tired. Gentlemen, solid work. Any parting shots?
Yeah, of course.
All right, Brian.
Guess which
Bring it.
midfielder has only blanked twice since game week 9?
Brendan Johnson.
No.
Dang it.
That's not who I'm asking about. He might have. That might also be true.
Only twice since match week 8.
And Bomo.
9.
Match week 9, last 6 match
No,
weeks.
that might also. No, that's definitely not true. He's been on a bad run.
Saka.
I mean, that might also be true, but that's not who I'm
All
thinking
right,
of.
who is it?
It's Alex Iwobi. 17
yeah.
points in the last 2 games.
Okay.
Had it in my notes to talk about him last week, but no matter how hard we try, we just can't get to everything every week.
It's true.
Game weeks 1 to 8, 1 goal, 1 assist. Since game week 9, 4 goals,
Man
2
on fire.
assists.
Yeah.
5th best midfielder by points in the last 5 game weeks. So
Yeah.
47 points for him. 15 shots, not a ton, but he's still in the top 7 for a total. 9 shots on target, which is 5th most for midfielders.
Wow.
Only 2 big chances. That's not a ton. Only 12 shots in the box is okay. Respectable. 11 chances created. Basically, 5 goals and 2 assists for his total output last season.
Okay.
He's at 5 goals and 3 assists already this season.
Right.
Crucial to the Fulham attack, just that he's played 90 minutes in pretty much every game.
Are you bringing him into your
He's
team?
played
You actually talked about it.
65 minutes is the fewest that he's played in any game this season.
Okay.
So unlike Smith Rowe,
Right.
unlike Raul Jimenez,
Right.
he's never going to come out or is going to rarely come out. I'm just saying, buy him now and bench him against Liverpool. Heck, who cares? Buy him now and play him against Liverpool. Or just wait till next week when they start with Southampton. Hold him and reap the rewards from
That's fair.
Fulham
I like that.
until they have a bad run of fixtures in March.
Although
That is the Fulham, from Southampton until March, the Fulham fixtures are by and large very good.
but in the name game, you said you'd rather have Enzo than Iwobi.
It was for the next 5, and it was also
All right, fair enough.
I think part of that was just that, the way the team is set up. That's why I'm saying it's a decision. So I understand at $5, that's hard. That's hard to go away from. I'm saying
5, 6, 7.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
he's 5'7".
Yeah.
He's 3.9%. I'm just saying, very clearly, he's been playing fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think the fixtures haven't, they've been odd. They've been kind of fluctuating here a little bit. They're going to go through this three match run where they've got Liverpool, Southampton, and who was in 2 weeks, whatever. There's somebody red, but I don't think it's red. Oh, Chelsea. But whatever, Fulham's good. And I think a large part of it is he keeps getting stuff. So I just think Iwobi's one of those guys.
Okay.
This doesn't, and it's not earlier in the season we could cop to this for sure. Adama Traore had the numbers behind his returns for a second there.
Right.
That's dropped off. Emile Smith-Rowe had the numbers to back up the selection for him. That kind of fell off.
Yeah.
But he's still good.
Yeah.
He's still obviously there. I'm saying that Iwobi by minutes,
Yeah.
you can't go less than 65 in any game this season. He's played 76 minutes once. Then it's 86, 88, 85, and 90. That's your minutes for the entire season in every game for Alex Iwobi. So that's what I'm saying. He's just one of those guys. I feel like I just don't see where it's going to be a bad choice. Jamie Vardy, look, we talked about him last week.
Yeah.
He did it again this week.
I know.
He's the 3rd most transferred in forward. The people agree. He's going to keep doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I think in this next run of fixtures for Leicester is so awful, but I would guess he probably will come off the bench in festive fixtures, I would guess.
Yeah, there's no way you start. He's kind of Superman, but he's not starting every
I don't
game.
think he's going to do it, but if it's going to happen for anyone for Leicester, it's him.
Could be him.
Right. People are still buying, and that's what I'm saying. Regardless of the next however many fixtures are
people
red,
are still buying.
the people are buying it.
Okay.
Look, we didn't talk about De Bruyne. I know it's hard to go to a City player right now. He is back. 85 minutes against Palace, 73 minutes against Nottingham Forest. He went for 14, obviously, 2 games ago. So that was a big boost for them. The Nottingham Forest game, which they smashed and looked like, hey, they might be turning a corner here, and then they did not. 6 shots in the last 2 games for Kevin De Bruyne, leads Manchester City in those 2 games.
Wow.
So Haaland is like far and away for the season the best, the most shootingest citizen.
Tootinest.
But De Bruyne being back, like he actually got, you got a result from them in 1 game, created 7 chances in the last 2 game weeks, which was second only to Jared Bowen. Like, I guess the question is, would you, like, if you were picking, he's at 5.5%, and it's De Bruyne in some tiny bit of form. Are you shooting for the ceiling with him, or is it just like this? The form plus injury risk plus minutes management. Like, is there any temptation whatsoever for De Bruyne?
No.
All right.
Even when he was firing, it was hard to go to him.
Do you do or do not have Mbumo?
I sold Bumo last week, much to my chagrin, and brought in Mr. BJ Brennan Johnson.
You don't have him anymore?
I moved him so I can get to Saka.
Oh, see, and I moved him to get to Bruno, and that paid off until it wasn't awful.
Until it didn't.
Right, what was 13 this week? Is that what it was? Like, what's crazy is he had 3 shots. Took 3 shots this week, 2 shots on target for Bumo. Since game week 10, when he's done pretty much nothing in every game, he has a total of 4 shots and 2 shots on target. So, quick math, he had 1 shot prior to this, prior to the game where he scored 13 this week. 1 total shot, and it was not an on-target shot. Like, I think it's weird because now, like, he's back into, like, the top, one of the top midfield transfers in. Like, the narrative changes a little bit if they give him that assist a couple weeks ago. At least then there's some points to back it up. But I think people are getting rid of him anyway. Yeah. And this is, like, such a massive drop-off in output. And then it's the, Kevin Shada scores off the bench this week. Wissa keeps scoring. Like, as soon as he gets a penalty, like, I think it changes back again. Or the second that there's some like idea that he's doing a lot more, it's just crazy to see it. Like, somebody that was so like, when am I ever going to take this guy out of my team? And now all of a sudden it's like he's taken 4 total shots since game week 10 or whatever. So, you want more?
One more.
Oh, come on.
I don't know where to go.
Just that, no, Ashley Young did it again in the last 2 game weeks. He went for a 15 and a -1, like a perfect stretch of Ashley Young games.
Come on.
Since game week 4, he's the full-time, so he has started every game for Everton since game week 4. He has 59 points. That is number 1 points for defenders since game week 4. He is the number 1 for defender in FPL points since game week 4, since he came in. Everton, like, I think you're trying to run away as far as you possibly can. It's crazy. He's got 1 goal since game week 4 on 1 from 4 shots. He's got 1 goal, and he is the number 1 defender scorer since game week 4.
And he's 4-6.
15 chances created.
Nope.
Which is the 6th most of any defender since game week 4. Like, I don't even know what to say about it. Look at the schedule. Tell me when you feel comfortable starting an Everton defender before February.
Never,
but it feels like they still will figure out a way to do it.
Right.
No.
And like, I mean, we've said it forever. Everyone will say it. Points are points.
It's February.
He's the number 10 most transferred in defender right now. But like this, like,
no.
Do you want 15 and then -1? Like, it just feels like the kind of guy that you'd have to just permanently play and then just hope.
Yeah, probably.
But anyway, I just thought that was crazy. Since game week 4, he is the number 1 scoring defender. That is wild to me. And then the Crystal Palace boys, Lacroix, and Munoz. Both of them are top. Yeah. 15 points from Lacroix in the 2 games, 13 points from Munoz. Like, it's all the attacking numbers are in Munoz's favor. I mean, you can find it a lot out there. Munoz is he's for the season, he's 4th for defenders and shots. He's got the most shots on target, tied with Guardiola. 2nd most shots in the box. 6 big chances for Munoz on the season, tied with Gabriel, by the way.
And his stuff are all on fast breaks, not on set pieces.
44 touches in the opposition box, second only to Gabriel. And the thing is with him, he's created 14 chances, which is top 10 for defenders. Like, where was this when he was a trendy pick at the start of the season and then went like 9 game weeks with like a 1? Like, it's crazy. And then all of a sudden, like,
it's a good point.
He's just crushing it. I think Lacroix is 2.2 less, so he's 4.5. He'd be the next because he's taken the next most shots from the Crystal Palace defenders. Because I know we've talked about
That's all headers from
talk
set
about
pieces,
Tyrick
yeah,
Mitchell
yeah.
and talk about, and people are buying Gahey more than they're buying Lacroix. But I just feel like I don't know why you wouldn't just go for the other guy. But whatever.
Lacroix.
Anyway, you still have Bowen?
No, I moved him to go to Fernandez.
That was disappointing this week to do it.
Yeah, he got a 9.
Yeah, Bruno did.
He was fine.
Yeah, it's just that some of these other guys, like, they put a performance in. West Ham stinks.
Yeah.
But I think it was probably the Michael Antonio bump.
Is he all right?
No, he's not.
No.
What's wrong with him now?
I mean,
I know what happened, but what?
I don't.
It was unclear what was what the result is.
He might not be back the rest of the season.
It was a broken leg that required surgery that they said is unclear whether or not it's career ending.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they are talking about extending his contract after.
He's lucky to be alive, man.
Yeah, you saw the.
Oh
photo.
yeah,
definitely.
You saw the picture.
Yeah, no. How is he alive? It's unbelievable.
That's wild.
Probably because only he's a professional athlete is he alive.
Because
his body was able to somehow hold it together.
Yeah, whole thing. Ugh.
All right, very good, gentlemen. Brian,
there was a that Bournemouth dude.
Did you want
to? But I don't think nobody.
No, nobody wants to hear about him.
No one's going
not until he scores again. And we're like, we probably should.
Travis, any parting shots?
Nope, none.
All right.
All right, go ahead. No, I got nothing. Okay, I wanted Travis to do a parting shot.
Pew pew.
All right.
Okay.
Oh wow, there we go. All right. Well, gentlemen, solid. Well done. Let's all look forward to watching Liverpool lose this weekend and Arsenal creep up the table on them, as that probably won't happen, but I'm hoping it will. For the FPL America podcast, this is David Smith. Until next time.